Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, here at Boardman High School. It is Spartan Saturday, Community Give Back Day, and putting a lot of limelight on the athletes of 2025, 2026, and it's always a good time when I get to sit with my old friend. Old being the relationship, not how old he is, especially after pickleball. Ladies and gentlemen, the superintendent of Boardman Schools, Mr. Chris Neifer. Chris, thanks for stopping by.
Hey, thanks for having me, DJ.
I mean, it just feels like we've been locked at the hip for so long since YSN started, but you continue to impact and change lives wherever you go with whoever you meet and cross paths with. For you at Boardman being home, and obviously Ryan being a senior, it's got to be special for you, especially this year.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. You know, whether Ryan was here or not, it would have been special for me to come home. But last year being my first year here and watching so many kids that I knew growing up and that I had coached in football and baseball and it just made it so much more special to watch those kids, to shake their hands and give them their diplomas and be able to joke with them in the hallways and be a part of them moving on to that next step was absolutely special. I would say I'm extremely lucky just to be able to do that here in my own hometown.
I love that you and I have always talked about being a relationship guy, and a relationship is the very foundation that everything's built on. You have built a great relationships with people here, whether they're new or old relationships. Everybody knows you as authentic. Everybody knows you as Chris Neifer is Chris Neifer, no matter if it's on film or in the classroom or just out in the public, in the community. For you, what do you appreciate most about just being yourself and having those relationships to not fall back on, but also I've never heard anybody say a bad thing about you, Chris.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, and you know the nice thing about being here in the community is you know I've been here, I've got roots, we've got friends here, but to be able to meet so many people that are all about creating opportunities for kids.
Yeah.
You know, this year 30 for me in education, and that's always been my focus, right? And in some districts it's a little bit easier than in others, but based on resources and those types of things, and I'll tell you, Boardman really gets it, right? The community really gets it, and it's not focused on one piece, but we try to provide opportunities across the board. You know, our mission statement is something that we live. We're here to transform lives through academics, athletics, and the arts. And the amount of opportunities that we provide for kids here is amazing. I mean, as a community member, I didn't realize exactly how much we had here for kids until I sat in this seat and started to become a part of it. And it's not something that we rest on. You know, we're always looking for something new, right? As the world changes, we want to make sure that our kids are changing with it, right? The opportunities for them are changing. And super proud just to be a part of that. The team here is amazing.
Last year it was Midnight Madness. This year you cranked it forward 12 hours to start, well, a little bit less than 12 hours. It started at 10 with a four-way scrimmage and a lot of other activities. But for you, I know the community aspect is huge. And the relationship we already talked about. But I think and correct me if I'm wrong here, I'm guessing it went a lot like this. Hey, we want to do this. And you said, does it help the kids? Right. Does it transition the kids and make them feel good about themselves? And that's what you have here. Unlike anything I've seen in any other community, Boardman does it. You've kind of made your way as a trailblazer in wherever you've been. Did you feel like that when you started this last year at midnight? And what was the conversation like when you moved it to 10 o'clock noon?
Yeah, you know what, it was funny because last year was the first time we had done anything like this, and literally to start my official day, you know, August 1st was the day of my contract, and at 12:01 I was on duty here, right?
We were here, we were right there.
Yeah, it was great, and to be here with the kids, and that was a fantastic way for me to start, and you know, all about that feedback, again, back to the relationships. You know, we finished up last year, was the first time we did it, so we talked to those involved. You know, listen to what they had to say, coaches, kids, you know, parents, the community, and that was the big piece that you mentioned. Was it was great for the kids, right? It was a great event. Anytime we can put, you know, 200-300 kids together and do something positive, we're all about that. But we were missing the parents. We were missing the community. We were missing the ability to have everybody involved. And that's kind of how we got to where we are today, is still wanting to do something special for the kids, right? But we wanted that opportunity for anybody who wanted to be involved to be here.
What I always think is funny, it makes me chuckle, is that's the way Boardman does it. They talk about BSTN. They talk about the way Boardman has a distinct ability to just do things, almost as a unicorn, better and more efficiently and with more authenticity than anybody else. When you think about the staff that made days like this come to fruition, why do you feel so blessed and to have people like that step up into positions that didn't even exist 2 years ago?
Yeah, and it is. You're right. I mean, it's probably one of the toughest things for me to do coming in here, because in my career I have had to go in and make some changes, and for here it was really sit back and watch where the strengths are.
Yeah.
And the strength is the team, right? The strength is the collaboration that exists between staff members, and again, that desire to really want to do what's best for kids, right? Every school district says that, and it happens many places, but that's really at the center of all conversations that I've had around here. So it was different for me to come in and figure out how my piece fit in the puzzle, right?
Yep.
Versus trying to build the puzzle. And it was really a positive for me, and it was reinvigorating for my career, both personally and professionally, to come in here and just work with this team that gets it.
What's funny for me is I talked about you and I have gone back the 9 years that YSN's been around, and you were always an advocate for us, wherever you were. What was it about what we did at the time and what we do now that you really saw the ability to kind of coincide with your mission of making an impact on kids?
Well, I think it goes back to exactly what we were just talking about with Boardman, right? It's opportunities for kids, right? That's what you guys have always talked about. When we talked about bringing you into East Palestine, right? What was the sales pitch? The sales pitch is we're here for kids, right? We're here to be able to give kids opportunity, to bring focus to the great things that kids are doing, and help them get to wherever it is they want to go, whether it's athletically, whether it's academically. You guys have always had that focus. For me, it's a no-brainer, right? We always want to associate ourselves with those third parties that are here to provide those opportunities, and it's what you guys do.
Thank you very much. I wasn't begging for a testimonial, but I know you'd give me one. Last question I have for you, kind of taking the superintendent hat off, but being a parent of a high school senior isn't easy these days. There's so many things that are pulling and stretching. Obviously, you and Amy have done an unbelievable job with Brian. What are some of the challenges that you faced coming up to this? And what do you anticipate? I mean, you've seen all these seniors graduate. What do you think that is your biggest challenge as a parent, and maybe as a superintendent as well, and kind of handling both of those duties as your son gets ready to walk across that stage?
Yeah, the big thing is really trying to overcome those changes, right?
Yeah.
You look at the knowledge base, and there's all kinds of research out there about it, but knowledge is doubling so much faster today.
Mm-hmm.
And kids have access to things that either they don't understand or they're not prepared for, and it seems every year it gets younger and younger, right? So how do we deal with that, both as parents and as an educational institution? Take AI, for example.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So we've just spent about 4 months really kind of getting deep into that and working with 2 companies that didn't exist 3 years ago, right? To the point where we have now adopted, we just put some stuff through board last month. We've adopted an AI platform that we're going to get started here in August or September. We know the kids are using it, right? So now it's a matter of teaching them to use it the right way,
Yep.
right? Getting them ready. You look at places like Ohio State,
Yep.
are just putting those things in. So trying to be at the cutting edge of something, not getting too deep into it, right? To make sure that we don't get ahead of ourselves. But those types of things have always been, both as a professional and as a parent, just trying to keep up with that, right? Again, it's back to the opportunity thing. I hate to sound like a broken record, but are we providing the right opportunities for our kids so that they can be successful at the next level, right? And that's always been the same conversation, with Ryan. You and I talked earlier. Football today, he's going to be on the mound tomorrow.
Yep.
Trying to protect the kids from themselves, right?
Yeah.
They've got dreams, sometimes they push, right?
Yeah.
We have experiences. Can we get them to learn from our experiences and avoid some mistakes? Mistakes are important, don't get me
Yep.
wrong. They're part of the learning process, but we also want to protect them.
Learn from others' mistakes
Sure.
and not just your own.
Absolutely.
Unbelievable. Chris, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to sit down with you. I'm so happy for you. It's going to be an exciting year for you.
It is. I appreciate it, DJ. Thanks. Anything you need, you let me know.
You got it. Chris Neifer, right here at Boardman.